right, so get this. We're diving into how babies, like, literally crack the code of English.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it.
Right, like we've got this research, and it says newborns can tell the difference between languages, like, right from the start.
Oh, yeah, that's, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
But how do they even figure that out? Like, are they giving babies, like, multiple choice tests?
Well, not quite. It turns out babies, they have this, like,
Okay.
their sucking patterns. Like, they actually change based on what they're hearing. So researchers played, like, different languages to these newborns, and, well, you can guess what happened.
The sucking changed.
Yeah. Depending on the language, it's like, I don't know. It's like they're these mini super linguists, right, from, day one.
So their brains are already, like, sorting through all these sounds, picking up on the with the rhythms and the sounds of different languages. Crazy. What else can those tiny brains do?
Well, this is another biggie. Early exposure to language, especially from, like parents and caregivers, isn't just a nice to have. It's like essential. It literally shapes how their brains develop and helps them lay the foundation for understanding how English works. Think of it, like building a house. Those early interactions are like the bricks and mortar.
Got it. So it's more than just words then, right?
Right.
It's the responsiveness, the back and forth. All that helps build those brain connections. But okay, so a baby's brain is already, like, tuned into language from birth. What about that adorable babbling phase? Is that just cute noise or what?
Oh, it is way more than just cute noise. It's like their training ground.
Okay.
So around 4 to 6 months, they start doing this thing called canonical babbling. Basically, it's just, like repeating those sounds, those consonant vowel combinations. Ba, 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 da, da, da.
Okay, now it's getting interesting.
Right. Think of it like they're exploring, their vocal cords, mimicking what they hear, and just figuring out how to, like, control their voices. It's practice, but it's practice with a purpose.
Okay, so babbling is practice for the real deal.
Yeah.
But what if, let's say, a caregiver doesn't really respond much during this stage? Does it affect things?
That's a really good question. And yeah, unfortunately it does. Studies have shown that babies whose babbling is met with those, those consistent responses, smiles, eye contact, words back, they tend to develop language skills faster.
That makes sense.
It's like they learn that communication is a two-way street and their efforts are actually valued. It makes them want to keep trying, to get those sounds just right.
Yeah. It's like a dance or a conversation. Both sides are, like, feeding off of each other.
Yeah.
And speaking of big moments, what's happening in their brains when they finally say those first words, those mama or dada moments?
Well, for one thing, it's proof that those little synapses are, firing away. So around 12 months, those babbles, they start to turn into actual words, usually linked to, like, those important people or objects, right?
Yeah.
They're making those connections through repetition and association, kind of like building this, I don't know, like a mental dictionary.
So, like, they're finally starting to get it, cracking the code.
Exactly. And here's the thing, and this is fascinating. Research shows that at this stage, their understanding actually, like, goes way beyond their speaking.
Wait, really?
Yeah. They can understand way more than they can actually say, which is why they can sometimes, like, follow simple instructions even before they can say those words themselves, like little spies taking it all in, just observing and processing.
Wow, that's really interesting. So they're decoding sounds from birth, they're practicing with babbling, and then bam, first words. But this research mentions something called a language explosion. What is that? Do they just, like, become fluent overnight?
Well, not fluent, but it's a big shift. So between 12 and 24 months, it's like this, I don't know, imagine a child who knows, like, 50 words, and then suddenly they're using 200, putting them together in, like, little phrases.
What juice?
Exactly. Go outside. It's like they've unlocked this hidden level in their brains, and the floodgates just open.
So they're not just absorbing words, they're using them.
Right. And this is where caregivers come in again. We're not just, language models.
Right.
We're coaches, guides, cheerleaders, helping them navigate this whole language world. And the research, it really stresses how important it is to create these rich, interactive language environments. And it goes way beyond just, talking to them.
Okay, so what does that look like in real life? I mean, a lot of parents are probably thinking, well, I talk to my baby all the time. Isn't that enough?
It's a good start. But think about it this way. Just having the radio on in the background won't make you a musician.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this.
you need to actually engage with music to learn and grow. And language is the same way. It's the quality of those interactions that matters.
So give me an example. Like what's the difference between just talking at a baby and really like engaging them in a way that helps them learn?
Okay, so imagine you're reading a book with them. You could just, read the words. Or you could bring the story to life, point to the pictures, make silly voices, let them turn the pages even if they can't, actually read yet. You're making it this multi-sensory experience, connecting those words to like real-world images and feelings.
That makes a lot of sense. It's way more engaging than just reading words off a page. What about like those classic nursery rhymes and songs? Are those actually helpful for language, or are they just, traditional?
Oh, you might think they're just simple ditties, but they're packed with language power.
Cool, really?
Yeah. Full of repetition, rhyming words, and those catchy melodies. All super helpful.
So it's not just me being nostalgic for my own childhood. There's a reason I can't stop singing The Wheels on the Bus.
Exactly. That repetition helps babies learn those new words and sounds, and the rhythm and rhyme help them develop an ear for the patterns of language. And, well, they're just fun. And when babies are engaged and having a good time, they're more likely to learn.
Okay, so this is making me realize how much, like, thought goes into helping a baby's language development. It's not just about speaking. It's about, like, how we interact with them and the kind of environment we're creating.
Yeah, it's about being present, responsive, engaged.
Yeah.
Even when it's just, gurgles and coos.
So for those parents and caregivers who are maybe feeling a little overwhelmed, what are some simple things they can do every day to help?
Well, narrate your day. Just talk about what you're doing as you do it. It might feel a little silly, but to a baby, it's gold.
So instead of just like silently changing a diaper, I could be like, all right, time for a new diaper. Let's get you clean first.
Exactly. You're teaching them new words, showing them how we use language like in real situations. It's like giving them a running commentary on life.
I love that. What else?
Expand on what your baby says. If they point to a ball and say, ball, you can say, yes. That's a big red ball. Do you want to throw the ball?
So you're basically having a conversation even if they're only using like a word or two.
Right. You're showing them how to use those building blocks, and that back and forth, that's key.
This is really amazing research. It shows how those early interactions really do matter. They lay the foundation for all those complex language skills they'll develop later on.
Yeah, not just speaking, reading, writing, even critical thinking.
The stakes are high. So we've talked about babbling, first words, the language explosion, the importance of interaction, and some tips. What happens next? I mean, babies don't just stop developing at age 2, right?
Oh, definitely not. The adventure is just beginning. As they grow, those language skills just keep blossoming. By preschool, they're telling stories, using more complex grammar, expressing themselves in all sorts of creative ways.
That's when those little personalities really come out.
Yeah, it really is. And those language skills, they help them have those, deeper interactions with others. They explore the world in new ways, and they develop this deeper understanding of themselves and their place in the world.
So it all comes back to those early interactions, helping them crack the code of language. It's amazing.
It is. And it doesn't stop there. Language development is this, it's lifelong.
Yeah.
And those early skills, those are just the beginning. They become the springboard for even more complex communication. Like they've graduated from Language 101, and now it's time for, the higher level courses.
Well, what about parents and caregivers? Once kids are in school, are we, off the hook?
Oh, not at all. In fact, our role, it kind of evolves. We become less like instructors and more like mentors guiding them, as they explore this whole language thing.
I like that. So we're like their language Sherpas.
Exactly. And think about it. Their world is expanding. They're running into new ideas, new challenges, and their language needs to keep up.
So less ABCs and more like how to express themselves, how to understand others, really using language as a tool to connect and learn.
Right. And one of the simplest yet most powerful things we can do is just keep those conversations going, Don't underestimate those dinner table talks or bedtime chats or even just car rides.
Mm-hmm.
Engage them in topics that matter to them, their interests, their worries, their dreams,
It's about being present, listening, asking those questions that get them thinking instead of just, how was your day? It's like, what was the coolest thing you learned today? Or what made you laugh today?
Exactly. You're inviting them to, really use their words. And don't be afraid to introduce new vocabulary, explain new concepts. Kids are like little word collectors. The more words they have, the better they'll be able to, express themselves and understand the world.
That makes sense. What about reading? I know it's so important when they're little, but does it still matter once they can, read on their own?
Absolutely. Reading aloud together, even after they've, mastered reading, has so many benefits. It exposes them to a wider range of, vocabulary and different writing styles. Plus, it's just a nice way to connect,
Yeah. Share those stories. Talk about the characters.
Right. You're like opening up this whole universe of language and imagination together. Makes me think about, storytelling in general. Is that something we should be encouraging too?
It seems like it'd be great for their language development, right?
It is. Storytelling is so powerful for language development, creativity, emotional intelligence, Encourage them to tell their own stories, whether it's about school or a funny dream they had or even just, making stuff up.
I love that. Give them a notebook and let them dictate a story.
Yeah.
Or make comic strips. Just give them space to, play with language, experiment, and find their voice.
Exactly. And as they get more confident, you can introduce them to different types of writing, poetry, journal, and even songwriting. Just keep it fun and let their love of language, shine through.
And it's not just about expressing themselves right. There's the other side, listening.
Oh, that is so important. Active listening, paying attention, asking questions, summarizing what you've heard,
Mm-hmm.
Those are skills that'll help them their whole lives.
Not just in school, but in relationships, at work, everywhere. It's about respect and understanding, avoiding those misunderstandings.
Exactly. By fostering this love of language and strong communication skills, we're giving kids the tools to navigate the world with confidence and clarity and compassion.
I love that. This deep dive has been so insightful. We've all learned so much about this amazing journey of language and how it starts from those tiny steps and just keeps going.
Yeah, it really makes you appreciate language as this gift, a tool, and something that's just endlessly fascinating. It connects us, empowers us, lets us share our own unique perspectives with the world.
So to all the parents and caregivers and teachers out there,
yeah,
keep talking, keep reading, keep playing, keep listening, keep encouraging those amazing young minds. You're not just teaching them words, you're opening up a whole world of possibilities.
And to our listeners, as you go about your day, pay attention to language and how it, shapes your thoughts, your interactions, your understanding of everything. It's a reminder that language is alive, it's constantly evolving, and it shapes who we are.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But it doesn't just stop there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Language development is like a lifelong thing.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely not a one and done kind of deal. Those early skills are really just the foundation,
Right.
They become the springboard for even more complex ways of communicating. It's like they've graduated from Language 101, and now it's time for those, upper level courses.
I love that analogy. But what about parents and caregivers? Once kids are in school, are we off the hook?
No, not at all. Our role just kind of shifts. We become less like instructors and more like mentors.
Okay.
We're there to guide them as they explore this huge world of language. Think about it, their world is expanding, right? They're encountering all these new ideas, new challenges, and their language has to keep up.
So it's less about teaching them the ABCs and more about helping them navigate how to express themselves, how to understand others, really using language as this tool to connect and to learn.
Exactly. And one of the simplest but most powerful things we can do at this stage is just keep those conversations going, Don't underestimate those dinner table conversations or bedtime chats or even those car rides. Just, engage them in those talks about things that matter to them, their interests, their worries, their dreams.
Yeah. It's about being present, listening, asking those questions that really get them thinking. Instead of just, how's your day? It's what was the most interesting thing you learned today? Or what made you laugh today?
Right, exactly. You're inviting them to go beyond those one-word answers and really use their words and don't be afraid to introduce new vocabulary, explain unfamiliar concepts. I mean, they're like little word collectors, Yeah. The more words they have, the better they'll be able to express themselves and understand the world around them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What about reading? I know it's crucial in those early years, but does it still matter once they can, read on their own?
Absolutely. Reading aloud together, even after they've, mastered reading themselves, it has so many benefits. It exposes them to this this wider range of vocabulary, different sentence structures, different styles of writing than they might encounter on their own. Plus, it's just this wonderful way to connect, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Share those stories, talk about the characters, the themes.
Right, exactly. It's like you're opening up this whole universe of language and imagination together. And it makes me think about, storytelling in general. Is that something we should be encouraging too at this stage?
I mean, it seems like it'd be really great for their language development, right?
It really is. Storytelling it's so powerful, for language development, for creativity, for emotional intelligence. Encourage them to tell their own stories. It doesn't matter what it's about, whether it's their day at school or a funny dream they had or even just, something they completely made up.
I love that. Give them a notebook. Let them dictate a story. Create a comic strip. It's all about giving them that space to play with language, experiment with different ways of expressing themselves.
Exactly. And as they get more confident, you can start introducing them to different types of writing, like poetry, journaling, even songwriting. The key is to just keep it fun, to nurture that love of language and let their own voices shine through.
That's great. And it's not just about expressing themselves, right?
Yeah.
There's the other side of that coin, listening.
Oh, that is such an important point. Active listening, paying attention to what others are saying, asking questions to clarify things, summarizing what you've heard. I mean, those are skills that are going to help them throughout their lives.
Not just in school, but in relationships, in the workplace, everywhere. It's about respect, it's about understanding, and it's about avoiding those misunderstandings that can happen.
Exactly. By fostering this love of language and those strong communication skills, we're really giving kids the tools they need to navigate the world, with confidence, with clarity, and with compassion.
I love that. This deep dive has been so insightful. We've all learned so much about this amazing journey of language acquisition and how it starts from those tiny little steps and just keeps unfolding throughout life.
It really is remarkable, and it really makes you appreciate language as this gift, a tool, and something that's just endlessly fascinating. It connects us, it empowers us, and it lets us share our own unique perspectives with the world.
So to all the parents, the caregivers, and the educators out there, keep talking, keep reading, keep playing, keep listening, and keep encouraging those amazing young minds. You're not just teaching them words, you're opening up a whole world of possibilities.
And to our listeners, as you go about your day, just pay attention to language. Pay attention to the way it shapes your thoughts, the way it shapes your interactions, your understanding of everything. It's a reminder that language is alive, it's constantly evolving, and it truly shapes who we are.